Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, guys. I'm your host, Brett McCollum, and I am here today with Pablo Torre. And today we're going to be talking about how he keeps every deal in-house. This is a really cool story, guys. But before we do, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Pablo, how are you, man?
Hey, man, I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I am so excited to hang out with you and do this show. Actually, it was last week we actually got to get together for a little bit and got to talk to you for a while, get to know you, and man, you got a great story, a great business that you operate, and I'm excited to deep dive all of that. But before we do, don't want to put the cart before the horse. Before we do, let's back up a little bit, give some history, some context. Who's Pablo?
Sure. So, I am a dad of 2 kids and a husband, and I'm actually from Mexico, and I moved here almost 4 years ago.
Wow.
And, we moved out of Mexico for different reasons, but most of it, we try to do what we do here. So we did flip a home or 2 over there, and it's just the system and the construction and everything so different that, we decided to come over here. And it was not easy. We came to a country where we didn't know what we were going to do, and we didn't know nothing about, flipping and all of that. And it came with some struggles coming here and, having at the beginning, no credit history, no anything. It was hard. So the first 6 months I was just working as a, construction helper, which helped because I understood how to build or how to rehab here, which it is different than Mexico for sure. So, and then, but we were clear since the beginning, me and my wife, because we do everything together. We were clear that we wanted to flip. So it took us like 6 months to understand and find our first flip. And we finally were able to do our first flip. We had to raise a ton of private money because, we couldn't get a Harmony loan. We couldn't get a bunch of, things that nowadays it's super easy to get for us. But at the beginning, it was hard. So we did our first flip, and luckily it was when the market was like super good. So we sold it pretty fast, and we were like, oh, this is actually a good, good business. And we liked it. So we started flipping more, and as a lot of people do. And then I'm guessing as a lot of people happen, when the market started going down, we ended up with a lot of properties on market that we're trying to sell that the prices were too high, so we couldn't pay the Harmony lenders if we sold at a cheaper price. And that, got me to start learning more about real estate. And I met a couple of mentors like Justin Colby and start looking for other strategies. And I realized that you could refinance these properties. Mm-hmm. Again, it was really hard because my credit was super low because of the low history. And so I had to partner up with some people, but ended up actually being able to refinancing those properties. Some of them I kept as rentals. Some of them I was able to sell on a note, owner finance. We even had 2 Airbnbs at the time, trying to, get out of the situation.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And, like everybody says, things happen for you, not to you. So I actually learned a lot from that and kind of like started turning the business and started doing a little bit more rentals. And then I realized that, a lot of it came from the wholesale. So we started wholesaling, and long story short, by now we have a business that's kind of like intertwined in between. So we do have a wholesale business, which is not, huge wholesale business. It's kind of local here in San Antonio. But we wholesale properties to investors to flip, but mostly to rent, right? And what we try to do is we wholesale it to our own flipping business company that we have. And then once it's flipped, we do the bear method in most of them, unless they're like sub-twos or something like that. And then we keep them as rentals. And then we have the management company that manages that rent. And then so that way we keep the deal in-house. Those are our deals, of course. But we also do the same for other investors that want to do the same, and they're out of state, in states that are more expensive, like California or Florida, and also out of the country because, since I'm from Mexico, I have a lot of people from Mexico that want to invest here. So what they do is we offer them this, like turnkey project that we learned from DJ dealing. And what we do is we tell them like exactly the same thing. They put the money and we do the whole thing. Like we wholesale it to them. We do the rehab for them, we rent it for them, and then we manage it for them. So it actually turns like they investing in passive for them, right? Because they don't got to worry about the managing, they don't got to worry about the rehab, they don't got to worry about anything. So we kind of like, intertwine the whole businesses and try to do, that's what we do for other investors, but we also do it every time. So it's kind of like, whenever you're doing those calls, like, and they're like, "Oh, are you a wholesaler?" I'm like, "No, I'm actually an investor," and it's true, right? Most of the times we end up keeping the properties, but we always try to sell them. And then every time that we put them on the market, we put them on market for sale or for rent, right? Because, I'm not going to walk away from 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever it is that I can make on a flip. But if not, I can keep it as a rental. So we went from, knowing nothing about real estate to knowing I mean, there's still a lot to learn, of course,
Sure.
and every day you learn, but now we kind of have all of the businesses together, and was kind of like one of our things that we wanted because, sorry, we didn't want to work for, other people, like just doing like, remodeling for a regular client, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is different. We wanted to work with investors because they think like us. So that's what we've been doing till now.
Dude, wow. All right, let's back up because there's so much to unpack with that. And it's really, I told you guys, this is what a great business he's running here. This is really cool. So, all right, man, we're going to back up a little bit. Okay. It's 4 years ago. You're still, in your home country in Mexico. What part of Mexico were you guys in?
So we are from Mexico City, so
Okay.
down south.
Yeah. So you're there and you grew up there, I'm assuming?
Yes, me and my wife, we both grew up there. And since, we went to school there, we went to college there and everything.
Yeah. I mean, and so that's kind of what I was thinking about. It's like, obviously you look at, I hear a lot of stories of immigrants coming to the States and getting into and there's so much opportunity. But and maybe that's part of the reason why, you moved, that sort of thing. But I imagine like that's probably a difficult time and decision on like that's home and you're leaving home maybe for the first time. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. Actually, now, looking back, it's like the best decision we ever made, of course, right? For a lot of reasons.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
But going back, like if I think about it, like it was definitely not an easy decision, right? Because at the time we did have a business. We did have, so we used to build cabinets, kitchen cabinets, closets,
Okay.
doors. Like, it was a big business that we had in Mexico, and we had it for like almost 7 years. So all of our, time, money, investment was in that business. So, plus of course, all of our family and everything. So making that decision to go from that to a really, I would say a really big uncertainty, right?
Uncertainty, yeah.
We knew that what we wanted to do, but we had no idea how or how soon we were going to be able to do it. And so we literally just packed and left. And it was really hard, right? We came here with, I don't know, maybe $10,000. That was all we had. And
Wow.
as you know, I mean, that lasted a couple of weeks, right? By the time that you settle in, rent a place, and get some things going, it was complicated at the beginning, but we're glad we did it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like that's hearing that the quote unquote origin story of how you like yeah, $10,000 is a lot to some people, right? But when you're starting from nothing and coming into a place like it's nothing, it goes so quickly. How do you have and I always like to ask this question, like what was your mind like? What's your mindset like at that point of, did you have kids yet? I mean, that's another question.
Yes, we have, because my kids are 6 and 10.
Yeah.
So
So they were, yeah. So you're not just moving to another country, you're moving to another country with children and having that burden of providing for them at the same time, and like, what's the mindset like? How did you kind of, because that was I know, like I have 4 kids myself. I know it's like, man, daddy's got to do this thing. We got to make this work. What was your mindset like then?
yeah, exactly. So that's why it was a really hard decision, because it was like, well, we can't just go and fail, right? I mean, worst case scenario, we come back, but it's not easy. It's not easy for the kids. Like, you can't change them to another country,
Right.
to another language, and have them learn the language and everything, and then come back. So at the time, it was like, kind of like the 100% the burn the boats mentality. We literally you know burned the boats, and so there was no option to fail, right? At the
Yeah.
end, like whatever it took. And I've heard this a lot of times. They say, like, in real estate, the only way to fail is to stop. So even when there was been some not that good times, and we just have keep going and going and going, because eventually I know that real estate will always be better. It will always get better. And if you have keep it property for a couple of years, at the end you'll come up on top at the end, right? So it's been that mentality. It's been like literally, it's all or nothing, and since the beginning. And we thought it was going to be for a couple of months or years, and it's been 4 years, and we're still in the same mentality, because it just business gets bigger, problems get bigger,
Yeah.
everything gets bigger. So it's still the same mentality.
Yeah. It's still hard. It just changes, right? Yeah. Totally. So, all right, that's really cool, man. I'm glad you could share that. All right, so you get started now. You're starting your business out, and you mentioned you were working inside of a construction company for a little while. How long were you doing that before you started doing like some of your own stuff?
So I worked on the construction company for 6 months.
Okay.
And it actually was not a construction company. It was, a friend that told me, like, hey, I'm rehabbing this house. Do you want to help me? Right. And I was like, sure, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I literally nothing to do. So that's how it started. And I did that for 6 months. But I was, kind of like how they say, like, while you have your 9 to 5, you have to work on yourself. So I did used to work from 9 to 5 on that and then get home and,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Listen to podcasts, watch videos, do research, learn how to, buy the properties, because in Mexico, it's completely different. Like there's no MLS in Mexico. There's no way there's not that information. And, a lot of bad things happen because you have no idea. So, I met a realtor and he was like, well, if you give me $1,000, I'll get you a house. Right. And of course he ran away with the $1,000. So, out of those 10, we had 9. And, so a lot of things happened, but it was throughout those 6 months that I was looking and learning and trying to understand, the 70% rule and how to find, an area, because remember, like we're coming from another country, not even another city. So I know nothing about, good zip codes, bad zip codes, what an ARV is,
Right.
nothing of that. So it really took me, 6 months to find the first house.
Okay, so you were kind of looking even from the beginning.
Yes,
Very cool.
since, I don't want to say day one, because, there was, like I said, it was complicated. We had to live in Airbnb for a while. So at the beginning it was complicated, but once we settled a little bit, then yes, I started, listening to podcasts and looking for all that. And like I said, I have a realtor and I went to see houses and I was like, trying to buy from the MLS at market price, right after COVID was almost impossible. Like,
Yep.
you couldn't find anything. So I was like, there has to be a way to find a house. Like I'm listening to all these gurus and all these things saying that you have to buy it 70% less repairs. And everything I find is like 80%, right? So I have no idea what to do. And that would just kept going till I found one.
Yeah, keep going. You don't quit, right? Like you said. Yeah, so that kind of brings us a little more current. And what you're doing right now is incredible. So we touched on it at the top of the show, introduced it this way. You have the ability, not that you do necessarily every time, but you have the ability to keep every single deal for full service in-house. Can you, I know and you touched on it in the intro as well. Let's break it down a little bit further. So from what I wrote down in my notes, there's 4 opportunities there. 4 different businesses that are kind of working in conjunction with each other. Break that down for me.
Yeah. So what we do is, we have the wholesale business, which wholesale to ourselves, but it also wholesales to other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the flipping business, which flips for us and other people. And then we have the rental business, which we have a management company that manages for us and other people. But at the beginning, I was just doing that. Like I learned, again, it happened for me, but I learned the bear method kind of like, forced on. Like I had to do it to get out of the situation that I was. And after I learned how to do that, then I did it purposely since the beginning. So, I bought it and then I buried it. And I was like, well, and I was actually even able to pull some money out. So I was like, oh, this is a better method because I don't got to find the buyer. So after, a lot of masterminds and, all that, I found a couple of good people and I talked to DJ Thielen at Clever Summit, and I met him at the gym, not even like, so I met him at the gym and we started talking. He was just on Justin Coley's podcast, and I had my Science of Flipping t-shirt at the gym. So he was like, oh, do you know Justin? So we started talking and I told him what I was doing. And he gave me this idea, which is what he does, which is like, why don't you do what you're doing for other people since you're already doing it, right? You're wholesaling it to yourself. And he was like, that's what he does, right? So I was like, well, that's true, but always with the buts and it's hard and whatever. And I was like, where do I get the investors? So he was like, well, you can get them out of state. And we started working on it. He helped me. And I realized that, when you wholesale a deal to somebody else, even if you make 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000, that's all you make, right? But if you wholesale it to someone that it's an investor out of town that needs you to do the rehab, even if you charge him, if it's a $50,000 rehab and you charge him 10, 20%, right? Which is still going to be cheaper than if he does the rehab by himself, because we have a team and we have, in-house people that charges us good prices. You make, 5, 10,000 on the rehab also. And then once you get the tenant for them, we get like we're not realtors, but we get them like a tenant. So we also get a cut there. And then once we manage it for them, we charge them, the regular management company charges. So you keep that same client for all that time. Now, if or when the property is, cash flowing or it's good, they're probably going to come back and say, hey, get me another one, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of like we're doing it. And to this time, I'm still doing it more than for me than for other people. So I would say from every, I don't know, 5 wholesale deals that we do, I keep 3, right?
Wow.
Which, so most of them I'm trying to keep because I'm trying to build my rental portfolio. That's the plan. So, but those other 2, maybe one goes to a wholesaler or another investor that just wants to buy it and do his flip and, be on his way. And then maybe the other one does go to someone that's going to go through the whole process. And that one client, investor will be on our VIP buyers list and be our, first come once we get a good property, and they'll be happy if the property is cash flowing, right? So that's what we try to do to get repeat buyers.
Yeah. Dude, and yeah, it's so cool. You're streamlining the process. You're keeping everything on a plan. What is the method that you guys like to utilize in your business from a like marketing perspective? How are you getting these off market opportunities?
So I've tried everything, and I've heard everything. I've
Yeah.
learned everything from. But what has worked for me the most has been the relationships. I've bought leads from every lead seller that
Yeah.
they raise, cold calling, everything. And there was a point where I was spending 10, 15, 20,000 on marketing, and the deals that I was closing were from realtors that I made relationships in the past or that I actually bought in the past. And I was like, well, this is just making no sense, right? I was breaking even on the wholesale business because the ones that were closing were from relationships, and the ones that I had paying marketing were not closing. So right now we're kind of like just working, I would say, the network with wholesalers, with other realtors, and we do still do a lot on market. I think that the on market is like, a lot of investors are like, well, it is on market, so I don't want it. It was like, well, yeah, but if it's 50 or 100,000 less than what it's on market for, that would help. And also, the people that are buying from Mexico or out of state, they don't care if it's on market or if it's not on market, right?
Right.
I guarantee, right, if nothing goes wrong, which is always, it's hard, but I guarantee them like a 12% return on their cash on sorry, cash and cash, right? So that is, especially for Mexico, right? It is a really good return.
That's good anywhere. Yeah.
So, and I look, for those houses that are in that range under 300,000 that cash flow that much, and we get a little bit of everything. We work also on foreclosures. We get, there's a lot of people with really low equity on their homes right now. So we look everywhere. But most of them are from that. I haven't had luck in the past with, PPL, PPC, all that stuff. I've tried it all, and I'm not saying we never closed the deal, but I found that it's better the other way.
Yeah. I love that you said that. So, um, as a wholesaler myself, as running, like, we know that our marketing is the lifeblood of the business. You don't have opportunities, you don't have a business, right? You need to have deals coming in. That I like, because so many people, when I'm talking to them privately, and they're like, what's the one that works? What's the one that works? What's the one that works? Everybody wants to know, right? Like, go into all these groups, go on all the Facebook pages, go on all that. The most common question you see is, what marketing are you guys doing today? Right? Everybody asks that. That's why I asked it, because I'm so glad you answered it that way. The
Yes,
best.
I've asked that question 1,000 times,
Everybody does.
to all of my mentors, to friends at wholesale. And, there's some wholesalers that, I'm making a lot of money, of course. And then I've thought to myself a bunch of times, is it the market that I'm in? Is it too competitive? Is it, I don't know what it is, but I think that it was just, I was trying to step away from the acquisitions myself.
Yeah.
And, I'm not for sure, I'm not Justin Colby or a big, investor that's known that much. But people do remember you when you do a deal with them and you actually close, and there's a smooth transaction, and they do come back, right? So by now, with all of the flips that I've done and the rentals, and not only for myself, because every time that you close a wholesale deal, the seller or the realtor or whoever brought that deal, they still consider it like you closed it, right? So after closing so many deals, definitely I think that we're in the relationships is where the good leads come by.
Yeah, that's perfect. Here's my theory. Let's see what you think. Every marketing channel right now, be it cold calling, PPC, PPL, direct mail, name it, right, has had its challenges over the years of people with like legal issues, like do not call lists or things like that. All these things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't do them, because we do. But the best and highest performing is always, and will never go away from the beginning of time until today, is relationships. You can automate AI, you can do all of the things out there, you can have everything can go, but you cannot replicate a relationship. You cannot automate a relationship. You cannot. It's the most powerful transaction opportunity you have is relationship. So you've heard the phrase, your net worth isn't your network is your net worth, right? Everybody's heard that in the real estate space, yes. Right? And I believe intentionality built on relationships. Maybe it takes a little more time, albeit it does. But once you have that going and you're consistent with your relationship capital, you're building that relationship out. The returns can be infinite. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts on that? Because it sounds like that's similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly. And this I would say new thing. It just happened like a month or 2 months ago, right? Like last year, all 2024, we were like hard on marketing. We got to the biggest names for getting leads, and again, I don't know if it was the market that I'm in, which is San Antonio, might be too competitive. I don't know, but after tracking KPIs and after doing the effort and spending a shit ton of money on marketing, I realized that yes, you're right. Like a lot of those realtors will call you, their first call once you close with them with a property. And sometimes they're like, hey, I'm gonna go on market with this property, but if you want it, we can do this or whatever. And they're like, well, okay, well, give me, 5-day option, 10-day option before you go on market. And that way, you might don't even hit the market. But if you do, then you have that, you don't reach to those investors that don't like on market deals. So you can get a lot of deals from, at the end, like you were saying, since the beginning of times, whenever you want to sell a house, you reach out to a realtor. That's most likely, 90% of people do that. So these relationships with those realtors, and not only realtors, right? Because there's people that are not realtors, but they also get a lot of deals because they are either lenders or banks or, something. So yes, 100% I'm with you. It doesn't mean that we're not going to, continue to buy leads, because maybe eventually you'll have so many deals coming at you from realtors that you don't need the leads.
I agree.
We always can make more deals, right? So, but I totally agree with you. I think that's the most important thing is the relationships that you build.
Yeah. And to that point, yeah, I would not advocate for, personally, I would not advocate for not having other marketing channels. My mentors always taught, pick one channel, dominate it, be the best at it before you pick something else, right?
Yep.
But there's a lot of people listening that they want to know, like, what's the one, and they don't have the budget or the time, or the money rather, just the budget to like consistently put X amount of dollars into their marketing every month. I do believe if you're consistent with your marketing every month, sure, it's expensive, but it will return over time. I firmly believe that. I've proven it out. But also, that's not realistic for some people in the beginning. You know what? And if you have the time, which you either have finances, money, or you have time, right? Or some people are blessed to have both, but in the beginning. So most people in the beginning have time. In that time, in my opinion, is best served going to the meetups, going to, building, calling these realtors, asking for, don't just call them on the phone. Hey, can I have a meeting with you? You can sit down and get to know that person, add value to them in some way, build a true relationship with them. They're going to trust you at some point with a deal. Don't let them down. like you've done that. And now over time, now you're proving that. And it's, you're scaling out that marketing channel. I think it's incredible. And then you've got what you're doing. Like now you own the wholesale, you own the construction, you own you've got a rental property, and you've got property management. That's 4 opportunities on every single, like you're the highest and best use of each deal. And then for others, they come in like, Pablo, I mean, look, man, do it for me too, and it's really just incredible what you've been able to achieve, man. I'm really, if nobody else has told you, brother, I am proud of you for what you've done.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's definitely not been easy. And I think that's also an important part of it, right? It's always, not only real estate, but, entrepreneurship. It's always a roller coaster. And it is definitely hard, right? And I don't know about other businesses, right? But in real estate, what I found is that you're sometimes like cash flow poor, but you're asset rich, and then sometimes you're the other way around, and then that you are always to whatever happens with the market, right? Like we thought last year it was going to get better when the rates were dropping down, and in my perspective, they haven't really changed that much. The same thing, okay, we're going to change the president. It's going to be a lot better. And it's still, it's beginning of the year, but I still haven't seen a big change. Like we're on the same, right?
Right.
So at the end, you have to go with the market, and you can't really do anything about that, right? So you have to work with it. And it is hard on times for sure, right? And and I'm always with the mentality of it happens for you, not to you. But sometimes you're like, damn, why, right? Like why?
Right.
I just put all
Been there, felt that. Yep.
And I can't sell it, and now I'm paying the Harmony loan, or I thought there was going to be a really good deal, and something happened, and now it's not. And so it is definitely hard in all of it. And now I got to learn how to scale without being like too big, but how to manage all this for businesses, because sometimes one of them will suffer. So if I focus a lot on wholesale, we have a couple of deals to do, but then maybe the rehabs are not going as well as they should. Or if I focus on the rehabs, maybe we have 2, 3, 4 doors that are vacant, and that hurts a lot. So I have to learn how to manage all that stuff, and be able to be present in all 4 of them without without one of them falling off. But at the end, right now, with what we have and the people that we have, it's going good, and we can still continue to do what we're doing. Which, by the way, not all of the parts of the business I love, but the part of like the rehabbing, it's like I could rehab homes for free. Like once I'm financially independent and I don't have to work, I will continue to flip homes because I love it, right? But sometimes, yes, the rentals, whenever something happened, and the toilets, or the big things like the roof fell off, or the fence, or the tree fell down, or all. I mean, those are headaches, but at the end, they're all part of I would say, the big business, which has all those 4 little businesses in. So
Yeah, and you're figuring it out. I love it, man. Pablo, this has been Awesome. And I know we could just keep going on and on and on. If people want to reach out to you and connect or follow along the journey with you, what's the best way for that to happen?
So I think that the easiest way is through Instagram.
Okay.
I'm my Instagram is PK83, which is kind of like my nickname from when I was a kid. Probably change that, but for now, that's what it is. And I definitely, I'm there almost every day. Try to post as much as I can, and that's like the easiest way for all of it, for the investments, for the turnkey projects, for even just a rehab or whatever it is. I think that's the easiest way.
Dude, perfect. Yeah, and we'll put that in the show notes. And guys, seriously, follow along. I mean, if there was ever somebody to follow, it's Pablo. Like, they're coming from another country to the States, how he built it, and it's only been 4 years. He's somebody you guys need to follow. So, and I don't say that lightly. So, Pablo, man, this is great, dude. Thanks for being here with us. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, man.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm excited. I was excited to do the podcast and talk about it, and be able to teach people somehow. Like I said at the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes from not knowing. So it's always good to reach out to someone and get some questions answered before you do some mistakes, for sure.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been great. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we hope to see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.